The first thing that told me something was wrong was the silence, not the peaceful kind, the kind that feels staged. I remember standing in the doorway for a moment longer than usual, just listening. No Quran playing from the speaker like he normally had, no hum of the dryer, no movement, just stillness. And then I saw them, two sneakers I didn't recognize, scuffed up, bigger than his, still warm from someone just slipping out of them. Something inside of me tightened, sharp, like my body knew before my mind did. I slowly walked down the hallway, each step dragging me further away from everything I thought I knew. My bag dropped onto the floor beside the entry doorway. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from knowing. The hallway felt longer than usual, or maybe I just felt smaller. I passed the framed ayah we had hung up after our walima, and from his signs he created for you spouses that you may find tranquility in them. I used to pause by it in the mornings, believing I had that, believing he was that. Today, I didn't pause. I couldn't. The bedroom door was cracked open. A sliver of light spilled out, gentle, like nothing was wrong. But everything was. I pushed it open. At first, I couldn't even register what I was seeing. Just tangled limbs and skin and him. Not with a woman. Not even pretending. A man. They didn't notice me right away, and in those few seconds everything around me dissolved. The walls, the light, the noise inside of my own head. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't crying. I was suspended in the stillness that was colder than shock. He turned. His face told me everything. This wasn't the first time. This wasn't a mistake. This was a life, a secret, and I had just walked into it. He said nothing. Neither of them did. Just wide eyes, mouth slightly open, the silence louder than screams. I stepped back, slowly. My hand reached for the wall to stop me from falling. I didn't ask questions because deep down, I already knew this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a weak moment. This was who he has always been. And somehow, I was the last to know. You don't scream when you've been spiritually gutted. You don't even cry at first. You just exist in a kind of floating grief that has no name yet. I backed away from the door like it had burned me. Maybe it had. They didn't follow me. Not a word. Not a plea. Not even shame. Just silence. I made it to the kitchen and I leaned over the sink, struggling to breathe. My lungs worked fine, but my chest, it was caving in. I gripped the counter, the same counter where he used to bring me tea after Fajr, the same one where we stood laughing 2 nights ago while we were talking about meal prep. How does a man talk about next week groceries while living a double life? I paced the kitchen like a ghost. My scarf was still around my neck, my shoes still on, but I felt stripped, not of clothing, but of meaning. Every dua I ever made, every tahajjud I asked Allah to bless our marriage, every night I laid next to him feeling safe. What was it all for? When he finally walked in, fully dressed now, I couldn't look at him. Please, he said, just that. His voice was low but steady, like he had rehearsed it. I turned around slowly, not out of curiosity, out of dignity, because I refused to let him speak to the back of my hijab. What exactly are you asking me to, please? I asked. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, as if suddenly remembering there was no script for this. No way to twist the truth when he was found naked in your own bed. I never meant to hurt you, he said. And I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was insulting. You were in our bed with a man and you're worried about how he looks. I shook my head. You didn't just cheat, you used me. You used our marriage as a closet, a costume. You let me carry your lie like it was my own crown. He started to cry, not from regret, from exposure. And for the first time since walking in, I felt a flicker of anger rise above my grief. Why me? I asked. He said nothing. He said nothing. You could have chosen to be honest. You could have said, I'm struggling. I'm not who people think I am. But you chose me. You chose to use my womb as your cover, my body as your shield, my faith as your beard. You took from me what you were never entitled to. He sat down on the floor, head in his hands, but I didn't sit because I wasn't staying in the space any longer, physically or emotionally. And as I walked towards the guest room, closing the door behind me, I realized something. He didn't just betray me, he stole years I never could get back. And that is a theft no apology can repay. No one tells you how loud a house becomes after a secret explodes inside it. Even when no one is talking, the walls echo. He stayed in the bedroom, I stayed in the guest room. We moved around like strangers in a crime scene, avoiding eye contact, avoiding truth, avoiding each other. I stopped cooking, stopped folding laundry, stopped pretending. I slept on the far edge of the bed like my skin might infect the sheets if I got too comfortable. I kept waking up in the middle of the night, not because of nightmares, but because my soul refused to rest. My du'as turned into broken sentences. My salah became a battlefield. I couldn't even raise my hands without wondering what I had missed, what signs I ignored, what whispers I brushed off. Was I stupid? Was I blind? Was I not enough? I looked in the mirror and saw a woman I didn't recognize anymore. And not because of heartbreak, but because I had been erased slowly over time. Every I love you, every you are my peace, every glance across the dinner table was a brick in a castle of lies I never asked to live in. But this is the part where people never talk about, not the betrayal itself, but the silence after. Because how do I say, "Hi, I'm a woman whose husband turned out to be gay, a Muslim woman at that"? There is no guidebook for that, no helpline that won't make you the villain for speaking. I thought about telling my mother, but I didn't want to see the disappointment in her eyes. I thought about confiding in a friend, but I knew the jokes would eventually come, the whispers, the pity, so I swallowed it and I let it eat me from the inside. Until one night, while sitting alone with my Quran still unopened on my lap, I said it out loud for the first time. Ya Allah, I don't know who I even married. I don't even know who I married. I said it loud 2 times. And then the tears came, not the soft kind, the kind that comes from deep places, places your tongue can't reach but your soul screams from. That night, I didn't pray for him. I prayed for me, for clarity, for justice, for healing, for the strength to stop blaming myself for someone else's mask. Because no matter how much I wanted to believe we were building something real, it was never mine. And that realization felt like death, but it was the beginning of life. He left on a Monday, didn't say much, didn't fight for the marriage, didn't even offer a goodbye, just zipped up his suitcase, passed by the door, and said, "Maybe one day you'll understand." I didn't answer because I wasn't ready to be gracious. Not yet. He walked out with the same quiet deception he brought into my life, like a shadow disappearing at sunset, and I just stood there, barefoot in the hallway, holding the handle of the bedroom I'd never open again. There was no dramatic closure, no long winded explanation, just absence and silence. But this time, the silence felt different. Not heavy, not haunted, but hollow in a way that felt like a beginning. Over the next few weeks, months, I grieved. I grieved the version of myself that bent to be chosen, the version that over prayed and over functioned, thinking that if I just loved harder, he'd love me back in truth. I stopped asking why me and started saying, why not me? Maybe Allah chose me to witness this, to survive this, to say this to other women, swallow, to protect someone else's dignity. No more tears, no more anger, just stillness. And I whispered, Ya Allah, I get it now. Ya Allah, I get it now. You weren't punishing me. You were pulling me out. You were saving me from what I didn't have the strength to walk away from. The betrayal didn't define me, but it did refine me. I began to rebuild quietly, in my own name, with no shame, because I was never the lie. I was just the mirror that exposed it. And while the truth nearly broke me, it also freed me. I chose to share my story with you, not for sympathy, but because I know I'm not the only one. There are women out there holding the same secret, living with the same confusion, and carrying the same silent heartbreak. If that's you, please hear me when I say this. It will get better. The pain won't always scream. The confusion won't always cloud. The wound won't stay open forever. I pray my story becomes a mirror for yours, not to reflect the hurt, but to show what healing can look like. And lastly, thank you to this sister for being a listening ear and a guide. Even in the silence, even in stillness, your presence held me, and for that I am forever grateful.